the IT director is Nancy.
He must have started taping already.
Oh no.
Too bad, too sad. Okay, welcome Mr. Ventura back.
Thank you.
Stay healthy. It's going around like big time right now. All kinds of, it's not just that. It's flu, allergies, you name it. It's a little bit of everything. It's that time of year, you know? I have allergies, so it's like, and I have a big nose. So if I blow my nose one more time, I'm gonna cry. Tonight we have several items on here. You're all aware the mayor's not here because of the death in his family. It's his aunt. So, believe the services are tomorrow, he thought. They still hadn't finalized, so we've talked a couple times. The first thing up is the minutes. We changed this all, and if you notice, Mr. Hoover gave us a new copy. You're so good at that. So that we have the current assignments. If you don't remember your assignment, we kept you out of all the assignments just in case.
That's fine.
And I took myself out of the assignments because I have to run the meeting. So it's kind of awkward that I offer something at the same time. That makes no sense. So the first thing will be the minutes. I didn't hear of anybody disagreeing with what was written or had any changes that needed to be made. We'll see if we have public comments. There's nobody here, so I'm not sure we'll have
Someone
any.
from the Parks and Rec committee is coming to make public comments, so she'll be
Tonight?
on there. Yeah, and I told her she's got to sign up, and
5 minutes.
yeah, it's going to be like 2 minutes. She's good.
Do you have your watch? Do you have your clock?
Mrs. Tully?
Mr. Timer? Yes, sir.
May I have a moment either other under public comments or correspondence to personally thank everybody in the police, fire, and dispatch center for the
You
care.
could do that, actually, probably in a new business. Unless you want to, and I've done this before, I signed up and came down and spoke during a meeting. Because I wanted to speak as a resident, not as a
Well, that's what I want to do.
council
I'd rather speak as a resident.
Don't make them walk all the way down there.
You'll make them.
I've been walking, I can
He
walk.
needs the exercise.
That's true. That's true. You can't do
I've
it.
been there. Been there with one.
Yeah, why don't you do it at the beginning?
Yeah,
if you want
after.
to.
We'll call you first.
Okay.
You have 5 minutes. Wherever the chief went, he's the guy.
It won't take two.
It'll be funny if you're thanking the police and fire and the police cut you off.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Mr.
You're done.
Venture's gonna speak first, so
Make sure you time them.
make sure you time him.
Hello. So you're up. Right. Yes, sir. Vertical's a good word.
I don't believe we have any correspondence, do we?
Nope.
I didn't see any, and I know you usually tell me. 56 is our first one. We have first reading on it. This is
Peak Nano.
the Nanu,
Nano.
Does this need to be passed tonight, or can
No.
we, 'cause I'm a real believer it needs.
Yeah, you could do second.
I know, but I'm a believer
school all
that
set?
residents need time to talk.
Yeah, I made, I mailed both. And
I don't know, it has been 14 days. So.
Yeah, just keep it on.
Let's do on second, maybe.
Let's do second. And I'm a firm believer that we should always go to 3 if we don't need to do it emergencies.
Yeah.
Residents need to be able to give their feedback. That's why we're here.
Just needs to be passed by the end
So
of the
what
year.
is today, the 23rd?
23.
Right, it says 21 on the agenda. What is it really?
That's the date the agenda.
It's the
came out.
23rd, it's the 23rd?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You know why it says the 21st? Because he brings it out on the 21st, that's why. Okay. So we'll do just second reading, Mr. Garvis, is that you? Mr. Finley, we need a second and a second. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, second and a second. Next one up is Mr. Finley's 57. This is the improvements with the
Ohio State.
income tax
No.
increment.
Yeah.
A tip on Ohio State
State
water
water
program. So same deal as the last
First
one.
one, yeah. Second reading.
Second reading?
Thank you.
Okay, then the next one is 58. We changed that to be Ms. Brandt with Mr. Garvis. Chief, do you want to speak to this?
Sure. This actually is something that was really needed when we did the consolidation for the additional supervision on shift. As you were aware, 5 years ago, the city was not in the financial shape that it is now. Talking with the mayor last year, we started negotiations with the townships. That was included in their price increase, was the cost of this. I worked with Mr. Barris, including the benefits and everything, and then we divided it between the two townships. And we already have a current exam for lieutenant, because then there'll be 3 lieutenants promoted. And the 3 lieutenants we currently have will be promoted to captain. And I've asked for this to be an emergency ordinance, and I would ask for 3 reads tonight, simply because I had the brainiac idea a week ago in my kitchen that how cool would it be to do all these promotions at our 100th anniversary open house on October 6th. I think it's just a very unique situation, and it's desperately needed.
Can I ask that we don't do 3 tonight, because I'd like to go through the budget, our budget meetings in a week.
It's budget neutral.
How can it be budget neutral if I'm going to 3 fire cabinets with 3 lieutenants and hiring as many firefighters? That can't be budget neutral.
We're not hiring 3
You
firefighters.
get raises.
Correct. And as I said, the price increase that was worked into for the townships that went into effect September 15th.
But why do we need 3 captains?
Why do we need 3 captains?
Yeah, I have 3 lieutenants, which is a lieutenant per,
Shift.
right?
Mhm.
Why do I need 3 captains?
Because
In the private sector, he may be the first line. I'm the boss of that. And Jeff may be the boss of his group, but then we have 1 person. Why would we have 3?
We don't have 3. That puts 2 supervisors on per shift. That assists in covering for time off. When the now captain would be off, the lieutenant would be there to fill. Plus on a fire scene, the national standard is a span of control of no more than 5 on an active fire scene. And we staff with anywhere from 7 to 9 people. So we're exceeding that span of control. Plus it's in the contracts with the townships that we will provide this, and they're paying for it essentially.
So they're paying
Part of the
for,
basis of the negotiations. Why don't you talk about how the shifts work just generally?
How many guys in our shift that report to a lieutenant that would then report to a captain? I'm having a hard time saying 3 captains, unless you're saying
There's 1
making
captain.
a captain that reports to each segment.
No, there's a captain on each shift and a lieutenant on each shift.
But why do I need 2 bosses?
In 3 buildings, because of the span of control and the number of people that they're managing. Plus
What's the approved
plus-
span of control?
5.
So I'm gonna have 2 people for 5?
No, we'll staff anywhere from 7 to 9 on a shift between all 3 buildings. So with 1 lieutenant, you're talking he potentially is managing 8 people on a fire scene, or managing 4 squad calls, compared to if he has better control over, the 3 or 4 that he'd be able to manage, and he gives us supervision on that shift to help with the management stuff that has to occur, plus to fill for when that officer is off. Right now, we have, we're protecting 30,000 people, and when the lieutenant is off, you have a senior firefighter running the shift.
So we have 7 people on every shift, 5 people. What do we have now on every shift?
Minimum manning is 7,
1 to 7.
Across all 3 buildings.
total all 3 buildings.
so you're saying right now we have 1 lieutenant to 7 staff, and now you're
And we
saying,
could go, that's minimum staffing, we can't
be
go as
9.
high as 9 if we have part-time staff.
so you're hoping to have 2 leaders for 9 people.
Correct.
So that would be 11 total.
No, it'll only still be 9. We're not adding any additional firefighters, we're adding the rank.
Okay. So it'd still be,
2 to 7.
so it just
Right.
defines who the senior firefighter taking over. It's defining the
Correct.
senior firefighter as a captain. But you're also saying that the 3 captains, the cost of the 3 captain is being absorbed by the two townships, and we're not having to take any money about our budget to apply to this
Correct.
third captain. So it's not like they're each hiring one, they're paying for the cost of all three. Okay.
Correct. Correct.
And we promised them that will be, I mean, that was part of the negotiation, is that they will have
It's
a
in the
captain.
contract.
For 15 years, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, it was explicitly discussed in the negotiations.
So it
So
truly
it
is
is-
no cost.
Right.
Right.
Any other questions?
No, being in the emergency services, though, I do understand the span of control, whether it be police or fire, that sometimes you can get spread out way too thin. And if you have the ability to have control at all times, it is definitely more beneficial and more economical in the long run.
The 3 fire captains, would they each work a shift?
Yes.
So you'll have 3 fire captains, 3 lieutenants, and or you have a lieutenant and captain on each ship.
Correct.
And if you have no calls, what do they do?
If they have no calls, we run 4,000 calls a year. We have calls every day.
But have you broken that down by shift? My concern is we'll have 2 guys sitting here and we have no calls from X to X. What do we do with them if there are no calls? Or there's 1 call per, I mean, I want to be able to assure if the townships are paying for it, that we're using the resources to the best of our
Absolutely.
ability,
I
the
mean, these
best of
guys
theirs.
train, we do a lot of our own vehicle maintenance. We do all of our own station cleaning.
The captains do that or the firefighters?
The captains would go out and help them. Absolutely. Hose testing. There's a lot of things we do besides answer calls.
It seems like it's just defining a name for someone who's already there and already doing things. Or when there is no call, it's not going to change the number of people we have in the building. And we already do pay for firefighters to not be on call or to not be at a call. That's how a fire station works.
And it gives you, if I understand correctly, the benefit of having someone who's in rank as opposed to a senior firefighter.
Correct.
When you have a sick or a call or something, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And then when the captain's off, the lieutenant would run the entire shift. When the captain's here, he's running it. That gives you an interior command on a fire. So the captain's outside. Now the standard is, we haven't gone to it. The incident commander doesn't even leave his vehicle. They do it from the windshield. We haven't gone to that. You know, we don't have the staff for that. But that gives you a boss inside the burning building for everyone's safety.
Anyone else?
I propose we do 1, 2, 3 on this just because it's something, I assume we're going to try and do the Northfield Center agreement at 1, 2, 3. So we kind of want to have this stuff in place, approved or unapproved by council, decided on by council with these 2 agreements settled.
I agree with that.
I'm not opposed because the budget neutral is,
That's the big question.
Yeah.
to me, there's no concern financially for it because you're not talking about additional long-term headcount that we're going to
Right.
inherit costs.
Yeah.
Unless you're not planning on passing 59.
No, yeah, right. Excellent point. Yes, because if you approve 58 and you don't approve 59, then you haven't funded what you approved. Who ordered these? Who put these in the seal?
That got answered.
Okay, moving along to 59, which is the Northfield Center Township. Chief, I guess you're going to speak to that.
Same as with Sagamore, Windshield Center waited till the end. They passed it on September 14th at 4:35 in the afternoon, and the contract expired at midnight. It was a tough negotiation. I don't think either side walked away extremely happy. Mark was more deeply involved in the negotiations than I was, so.
Yeah, that's accurate. So this is a little bit different than approval of the Sagamore contract when the legislation was actually authorizing the mayor to enter into the legislation. Here, because of the delay in coming to terms with the township as a result of the delayed negotiations, the mayor executed the agreement on the 15th. So this is actually council ratifying the agreement
Oh, yeah.
retrospectively.
But we have the right to say no.
Sure, you do.
Okay. I just don't want the mayor to think that he can do that, and then council says, wait a minute. If
Right.
you start looking at.
No,
numbers,
And
man,
they
don't
brought it
agree.
up, they brought it up in our last work session that
Right.
that was how
But
it
it
was
was
gonna be.
still, we didn't have any details. We had
Well,
nothing other than they were working on it.
That's because.
I want to make sure it's understood until we ratify. It really isn't
That's what-
approved.
That's what ratification means, yep,
Yeah.
yep.
I have a question for you. Why are they paying so much less than Sagamore? Do they get less people? Is it based on number of calls?
It all plays a part. And Northfield Center is very unique. If you look at where the three buildings currently are situated, Northfield Center is first due to us when our squads are out, first due to Sagamore when their squads are out, and they spend a lot of time outside of their district helping us.
So Northfield, because they help us, but you're saying Sagamore doesn't, even though we're all one district?
Occasionally.
So that's why they're allowed, because I was looking at the differences, and we're about 300 grand a year.
Mhm.
And I don't want Sagamore to say, wait a minute, now that I look at theirs, why did I agree to this?
their population is a lot less too.
Oh, yeah, their population's
No, the
5,500 and theirs is
population's
12,000.
pretty close.
No, it's like,
Nowhere close.
it's like 6,000 to 12,000. Sagamore is very close to us, maybe like 10,000, I think. And Northfield is,
No,
Sagamore population.
no, I think they're a little less than us, John, a little less.
we went up and they went down.
Yeah, but Northfield Center does have a much smaller population, and they don't have any ravines like Sagamore does. That seems to be, there's no one's gonna get stuck in a ravine in Northfield Center.
But they have more businesses. And let me give you an example. There was a call made for an accident. The people were called out at Highland and Old Date. You know where Costco is? No, so it's Heinz Hill and Old Date.
Right, right.
Would we be the ones to reply, because Northfield was there? Is that our fire
It's
group?
actually Valley Fire District and they call mutually.
Because the assistant chief of Hudson, the call was from Macedonia, because he was in my line when his speaker went on.
He had to be
Call was
mutual
from
aid.
Macedonia.
That's how I found out it was, like, what the heck's going on?
Yeah, that's not our call.
So we wouldn't, even though it was Macedonia, are we doing
That's
the
Boston Heights.
Macedonia, it's Boston
Yeah, it's
Heights.
not-
It's
You're talking
Valley
about
Fire
Costco?
District.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it was Macedonia that called.
Did you hear that call, Mr. Bear?
It was
I
on
probably
his-
have it, but we
it was
probably.
on
No,
his-
understand that the different divisions per se, using the current NIMS technology, divisions defined by area. So Division 2 and 3, so Station 2 and 3, Division 1 would be Station 1. They all go by the Macedonia Fire Department. They all get dispatched out of the same dispatch center. They're all toned out Macedonia Fire Department. When these other communities call us, they request a squad or an engine from Macedonia. We send the closest appropriate vehicle.
So it would have been a Northfield,
If they were.
If they
That's what I'm
weren't- if they
saying.
weren't tied
Yes,
up.
it would have
because
been
they call
Northfield.
it Macedonia, but it was a Northfield squad. There were four, according to the
Correct.
assistant chief, there were four.
their ambulances,
Posted.
their trucks all say Macedonia.
Well, the Northfield Village, or the Northfield Center one actually says,
Yeah, they all say
Yeah,
Macedonia.
Yeah.
but it'll also say, doesn't it say something?
Northfield
Center?
Center Division,
Yeah.
Sagamore Hills Division.
So you know which station the squad came out of, but it is,
Right.
like you said, Macedonia.
Well, it would have been the closest.
If they weren't,
It's busy, yeah.
right? So like, to the chief's point, if the ambulance or the engine out of, I think it's Station 3, right?
Yes.
If it's busy or it's at a hospital and Valley Fire asks for mutual aid from our city, whoever's in charge is gonna send one of the other locations, right? It's either gonna come out of this
But we
building.
were there.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to understand that.
That's part of being the crossroads in Northeast Ohio.
Yeah.
Any questions more about the Northfield Township?
They said good stuff about us in the newspaper again, so that's good, like Sagamore did. They massaged us a bit.
Chief, you want to point out when we started?
The negotiations.
Yes.
John and I met in February. And then we met, the mayor and I met with representatives from each of the townships the first week of March. And since then, it was kind of the.
Just so you don't think we're dragging our feet.
Oh, absolutely
yeah,
not.
no,
Yeah,
There was
we
a
were-
significant delay in hearing back on this specific
Yeah.
contract.
No, I don't believe you guys dropped the ball on this at all.
I'm fine with going 1, 2, 3 on this. I'd like to get it finished, get them.
Well, Mr. Finley
settled.
chose
Okay, so it's fine.
whatever you want to do. Last, oh, gosh, you got another one. Do you want to talk about the ODOT one?
I can talk about it,
I figured you are Mr. ODOT.
I am.
Yeah.
I am tonight.
You're our
okay.
contact.
You are Mr. ODOT.
So,
We'll call him Joe Dot.
there you go. That's a good one. So, the last item there on the agenda is really a housekeeping issue. It's standard consent legislation that ODOT requires of the local municipality anytime they do a project within an incorporated town like us. So next year, ODOT will be doing some preventative maintenance microsurfacing on State Route 8. It's the area up the north end of town, kind of starting near Valley View Road and working up to the Northfield Village border. This is an item that extends the life of the pavement. It's the exact same work that they did back in, I believe, 2017, also on State Route 8, a different portion of State Route 8. And per Ohio Revised Code, when ODOT does a project on a state route in an incorporated city, the city owes 20% of the project costs. ODOT has told us that our estimated cost will be $10,000.
This
Which
is
will be
on-
worked into next year's budget, of course.
On the east side,
I'm sorry?
the east side of the, that's where Macedonia is, and I think the west side of the East Northfield, because that's where the cemetery is.
Yeah.
Okay. Questions? I have one question for you. Do we have to fill in all the blanks tonight? Just
Mayor's
passing this? Okay. If you looked at the preliminary participatory legislation, it's a mouthful. There's a lot of blanks. It's like, the following is, and then pick five.
Yeah, it's the mayor's job to make sure it's completed, and then it's Mr. Hoover's job to
right.
send it out.
Well, I see the clerk's there, but is he the attested? It just, and then if you look at the last page, a lot of blanks. Okay,
Mad Libs.
that's yours also, with Ms. Brandt. And then for the adjournment, we had Mr. Garbus with Ms. Brandt. And I do, just so you know, yes, I do try and make a little grid to make sure everybody gets stuff.
Nice.
So,
That's
they
organized.
just say,
Jan.
you always get it. No.
That's good stuff right there.
Yeah.
Quick question on 60, Joe.
sorry?
I have a quick question on 60.
Yeah.
If we didn't pass that, would it stop them from doing the work?
I don't know, that's a good question, probably not.
Would we still have to pay?
I've never been in that situation before, but I have a feeling yes. So,
Are they only gonna do the other half of Route 8?
Yeah.
They just do 80% of.
80%.
They do the grinding, but not the other.
Explain to us, what is
So,
microsurfacing?
good question. So microsurfacing, like I said, it's the same work that they did on Route 8 back in 2017. Some of you may remember that. It's kind of like chip seal, but it's not quite as rough. You know, you drive on a new chip seal road and it's pretty rough. This product that they call microsurfacing is still a little bit rough, you know, not as smooth as the roads when we typically pave them.
Right,
So it's kind of halfway between an old-fashioned chip seal, which some people like and some people don't, and the real finished asphalt product that we typically use on our roads.
Is there any grinding part?
No.
I didn't think so.
Motorcycle liars do
Well,
not.
we don't like the chip seal, because when I drive my little cart, I go, dang, here comes the rocks, you know?
Do we know when, or is this something they would,
2022, I don't know
but
exactly when.
it's something that they would contract out, right? And
Oh, absolutely.
and that they have like a time frame to do it in?
Correct.
So it's next year. Everything.
Is that going 1, 2, 3, Mrs. Tully, or
What?
is that going 1, 2, 3, or
Yes.
one?
I would assume. And then, just the gentle reminder, which, if you notice, Mr. Hoover is trading our calendar, that we have a budget meeting coming up on Thursday of next week. And then we have another budget meeting coming up. We've got to get really moving on 2022. I really don't want to go to a quarterly first 3 months of the year. It's such a pain to do. So we have one on the 30th and one on the 12th of September or October. Oh my gosh, did I actually say
Is
October?
everybody still okay with those being those 6 PM? we put?
Before Halloween, holy moly, too soon. And there's a BZA meeting. And is Mayor's Court in person?
You know, I don't know. I believe it is.
I didn't know if she was.
You would know better than me, probably.
I rarely, I mean, I see people up in the window, but I don't think it's part of court. As far as I've seen, Scott seems to be.
Yeah, I didn't know if she was bringing it back yet or not.
They might have been doing a hybrid, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I haven't seen her to talk to her. We usually run into each other. Okay,
It's not in person, it's virtual.
it's not?
Yeah, it's virtual. They're doing
Okay.
it 13.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Collins.
It's a scary little ghost that comes around.
Yeah, he's watching you, Dan.
It's like being at home with. Thanks, y'all. Mom, what are you guys doing? I see you in the game. It is 7:33. Oh, wait, I have to laugh. I have a script from Miss Augustine, so I'm going to read it. Thank you for coming and welcome to the September 23rd council meeting. It is 7:34. Will Mr. Hoover please call the roll?
Ms. Brandt.
Here.
Mr. Finley.
Here.
Mr. Garbus.
Here.
Ms. Tully.
Here.
Mr. Ventura.
Here.
Before I go to the next phrase, first of all, in all seriousness, the reason the mayor is not here tonight is there was a death in his family. And so I would ask that we just take a moment to send our love and prayers to the mayor and his family, especially his mom. Thank you. And now I ask Tom O'Brien, American Legion Post 801, chaplain, to lead us in prayer, and then followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
With bowed heads, let us pray. Almighty God, Father of all mankind and Judge over nations, we pray Thee to guide our work in this meeting. We pray for those who serve the people and guard the public welfare, those civil servants who work at City Hall and throughout our community, that by Thy blessing they may be enabled to discharge their duties honestly and well. We pray for our local leaders, that by Thy help they may provide the leadership our community has empowered them with. And finally, O God of mercy, we ask Thy blessing and comfort for our neighbors who may be suffering mental or physical disability. Cheer them and bring them Thy blessing of health and happiness. Amen.
Amen.
And now, with hand over heart, please face the flag and join me in our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, sir. Before we get started with public comments, I'd also like us to take a moment to welcome back to the DS Councilor Ventura. He decided he felt good enough to come back. He's still in the healing mode. We're going to give him 6 feet between since there are more germs coming around than we can say. But we welcome you back, and we hope that this healing goes well.
Thank you very much. Appreciate everybody reaching out.
Get on that bike.
Starts next week.
Okay, we're going to move to public comments. Our first public comment will be Councilor Ventura.
Okay, I'm not going to come all the way down, even though they thought it would be a good idea for more exercise. I'm speaking as a resident. I would like to take this time and opportunity to thank the police department, the 911 dispatchers, and the fire department for all they did for my family and myself. Very scary. Chief Ripley kind of ripped me up a little bit because I waited so long to call. I had a very severe medical emergency. Police department got there first, as they would do. Relayed all the necessary information to the dispatchers who I could hear through the radio transmissions, relayed it back to the fire department while they were en route. The paramedics that we have, and they're well trained, and everybody knew their job, stabilized me. The only thing I can say is I couldn't have asked for any better care all the way up and down the line. My wife was there worried, the police department kept her calm. And of course, like I said, the fire department dispatchers did their jobs, and that's why I'm here today. And that was proven to me when I got to a cardiac doctor who said I was very, very fortunate. The only thing I want to add to that is that according to the residents on and around 1479 Bruce, that your light display for Christmas time, except for the music, Mr. Garbus has nothing on. All that equipment sitting in my house. So I'd like to thank everybody very much. I'd like to thank all of you that have reached out. This all happened on August 11th. It started. I had 2 5-day stints at Ahuja, and I hope to be back with you here, Vertical, member of the Still Vertical Club for quite some time. Thank you all.
As I always state, that's one people I don't want in my house. But when they do come, I never worry. They took care of my mom, took care of my dad. Luckily, not us yet. Okay, let me back up a minute before we move to the next public comment. We need approval of the minutes, please.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the Thursday, September 9th, 2021 regular council meeting as submitted.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The approval has held. Next up, then, we'll go to public comments. Thank you. Why don't you say it? We're going to have Barbara.
Lucivo, right? Close enough. Okay.
Close, but I don't want to screw it up.
It does not lend itself to,
How long did you practice that?
yeah.
Just so you know, during public comments, we have 5 minutes for public comments. We ask that you come to the microphone because it is recorded, so everyone in the community can hear your comments. And our chief always times the speaker to 5 minutes. You don't need to take 5, but if you hear him, that's why.
That's fine. I'm Barbara Lachivo. I am chairperson of the Parks and Recs Commission. I'm here to give our recommendation to the council and mayor regarding the barns over at Longwood Manor. PRC believes that there is no community value of the barns once the city no longer inhabits the space for parks and service that's greater than what the land could be used for in building programmable space. The barn should be removed upon completion of the new service center, and that's what we discussed the other day at our meeting. Going forward, we don't think that the barn should stay in the condition that they're at. It could be used for greater space and something else.
We took a vote and everything.
Thank you.
Anyone questions? We, discussed it at length.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It is a-
Well, I'd just like to thank Mrs. Lachivo and her committee and Ms. Brandt for also being part of that committee and going over all of that thoroughly with all the input that's been bantered around and taking everything into consideration before making that decision and bringing it back to the mayor and city council. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, I can tell you that the time we took to discuss this was great. It was something that we discussed in thorough depth, so that's our recommendation.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Barbara.
you.
Okay. Mr. Hoover, do we have any correspondence?
No correspondence.
Hearing no correspondence, we'll move into pending or new legislation. First up is ordinance number 56, 2021.
I'd like to move to offer ordinance 56, 2021 for its second reading by title only.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance declaring improvements to certain parcels of real property to be a public purpose, describing the public improvements to be made which directly benefit such parcels, requiring the owners of the improvements on such parcels to make service payments in lieu of taxes, establishing a peak nano municipal improvement tax increment equivalent fund for the deposit of such service payments pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, sections 5709.40, 5709.42, and 5709.43, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Moving right along to ordinance 57, what is your pleasure?
I move to offer ordinance 57, 2021 for its second reading by title only.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance declaring improvements to certain parcels of real property to be a public purpose, describing the public improvements to be made which directly benefit such parcels, requiring the owners of the improvements on such parcels to make service payments in lieu of taxes, establishing an Ohio State waterproofing municipal public improvement tax increment equivalent fund for the deposit of such service payments pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, sections 5709.40, 5709.42, and 5709.43, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Moving along to ordinance number 58.
I'd like to propose ordinance number 58, 2021 for its first, second, and third read by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
An emergency ordinance amending Chapter 153 of the codified ordinances of the City of Macedonia relative to the fire department.
Chief, would you like to speak to this, please?
Sure, thank you. Almost said Mrs. Mayor.
Sounds nice.
Mrs. Tully. This is additional command staff to the fire department, which will put 2 supervisors on each shift. It is a budget neutral move for the city. The cost of this was included in the contracts. If you guys so choose to pass, I believe it's 59 tonight, that will complete that process. And it's something that's well needed for the span of control within the fire service.
What is your pleasure?
I move that we pass ordinance number 58, 2021 and post the same according to law.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We're pretty fast, aren't we? And oh, by the way, it's Madam President.
Sorry. I'm glad I caught myself.
I keep telling Greg that, and he just goes, yeah, okay. Okay, moving right along to ordinance number 59.
I move to offer ordinance 59, 2021 for its first, second, and third reading by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance ratifying an agreement with Northfield Center Township to provide emergency fire and medical services to the township.
It's you again, sir. Chief.
Thank you, Madam President. This is just finishing up contract negotiations that actually began at the beginning of the year to continue services for Northfield Center Township. I believe at our previous meeting, council approved the contract with Sagamore Hills. The unique thing about these 2 contracts, the first contracts we had with the townships was 5 years. These contracts are both 15 years, which is a huge commitment on our part, a huge commitment on the township's part, and it brings a lot of stability to us for providing services going forward. The relationship is working, everyone is happy, and we'd be very happy if you guys found it in your hearts to pass it tonight. That would be great.
Thank you. It is nice to see what was an idea over 20 plus years ago.
More than that.
Yeah. Chief Black sitting in this room with everyone, and they just couldn't come together in an agreement. So it was nice to see that we now all work together. We really are one community in some respects, and it's a lot due to your expertise and the department's expertise.
Thank you.
Okay, what is your pleasure?
I move to adopt ordinance number 59, 2021 and post the same according to law.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Congratulations and thank you again,
Thank you.
Chief.
Mrs. Tully, did either of those 2 require a roll call? No? Okay. I wasn't sure.
We just did.
If it did, trust me, I'd get the eye right away. He keeps us honest. Thanks for asking, though. Okay, last on our official agenda is ordinance number 60.
I move to offer ordinance number 60, 2021 for its first, second, and third reading by title only.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to complete and execute the preliminary legislation as mandated by ODOT for project POR/SUM MCRO FY 2022B-PID number 105120.
Mr. G, do you want to explain what all that PID, BYO?
Yeah, that's just a bunch of ODOT identifying numbers, which doesn't mean anything to us locally, but this is standard consent legislation as required by ODOT. ODOT will be performing preventative maintenance microsurfacing on State Route 8. The work is scheduled for next year, 2022.
Thank you.
Will there be a cost to the city for that?
Yes, total cost to the city is $10,000 or 20%, which is 20% of the total estimated cost of the project.
Again, this project is next year, so there will be some impact to Route 8, but it will not be like going south on Route 8 through Stowe, Cuyahoga Falls, Akron. Went to the airport this morning. I think almost every bit of that road's under construction going south. So it's something that's always needed. Route 8 is highly traveled.
Yeah.
Want to be able to make sure those people can get to the casino too. Yeah. Because then they stop and eat at our restaurants on their way.
Absolutely.
What's your pleasure?
I move to adopt ordinance number 60, 2021, and post the same according to law.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. The ordinance. Okay. Are there any other motions or legislative actions? Hearing none. Jessica, could you give the mayor's report? What's his last
The
statement?
mayor's not here, so.
But what does he
And
always?
he would like you to not put down the phones and don't text and drive.
Okay, I just want to make sure we all hear that.
Yes.
Okay, committee reports. Are there any committee reports?
I could just remind everybody that the Finance Committee will be meeting next week, Thursday at 6 PM, as well as on Tuesday, the 12th at 6 PM here in Council's caucus room. The public is invited, and we're going to discuss the 2022 budget.
Those meetings are open to the public. However, it's not interactive with the public. You can come and observe and listen. It's basically, council holds the checkbook, and it's our opportunity to work with the finance director in setting the budget for 2022. Thank you.
The Parks and Rec Committee meeting has been moved from Wednesday, the 20th to Tuesday, the 19th at 6 PM. That will be in the activity room at the rec center. We had a very productive meeting last time. We discussed for the second meeting in a row the barns and what we thought as a group about that, and we did vote, and it was unanimous as to the statement that Ms. Lushivo read. And we want to thank Parks and Rec Department for a great Fall Fest. And they threw that together, and they're coming up with stuff for Halloween, and can't wait to see what they do for the Winter Fest. But it sounds like everyone really hit the ground running in the new department structure. And we keep hearing great things at our Parks and Rec meetings. So we look forward to the meeting on October 19th. There'll be 2 more for the year. One in October, one in November, and then we'll take off in December. So that's all.
Thank you. The cemetery board, we have not been blessed by ODOT to be able to take care of the road that's within the cemetery. There's some concern that it's not truly considered a public road. So we're going to be looking at other opportunities to have that. I can't remember the last time we really did anything with the cemetery road. So that's something we have to take a look at. There's still work being done on repainting and taking care of the fence. That's not complete either. And then we had some discussion because of some complaints, and we are taking care of and putting together an actual process that talks about placement of stones, of gravestones. How long, once they're received, will they actually be placed? Some of that's obviously going to be based on weather conditions, but if they came in March, when should I expect it? And that'll be able to help alleviate some of the grieving process. Because until the stone's in the ground, sometimes it doesn't feel like you're moving along. It never ends, but at least you move along. Thank you. Okay, next up, we're going through the department reports. We always start at this end, so Mr. Karras, you're up for the service department.
Thank you. Okay, so the service department assisted the Parks Department in setting up for the Fall Fest. I'd like to thank all the employees for the hard work. We set up the tables and chairs and the fencing. I'd like to also note that the Nordonia mural under I-271 is completed. And I think the mural looks great. I think the kids did an excellent job. And again, the service department coordinated some of the traffic control or work zones along with the city engineer, Joe Gelati. And additionally, the service department assisted in supplying a scissor lift for the students to use. I'd also like to remind the residents that the leaf collection will begin at the end of October. So get your leaves out soon. I mean, it got cold quick here the last couple of days. And it is also still a good time to make sure that your mailboxes and your newspaper boxes are sturdy and secure for the upcoming winter season. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. G.
Sure, thank you, Mrs. Tully. A few items to keep everyone updated on. Crack seal work was completed on State Route 82. That was done in the overnight hours earlier this week so as not to impact or affect traffic. So that's a good thing to maintain our roads in good condition. Repainting of the lines is currently taking place on many streets around the city. Some of you may have seen that work going on. So that's a good thing as well for the city. And last, as Leon had mentioned, the Nordonia students finished the mural painting on the bridge abutment there on 82. I'm sure we've all seen it. And I think it looks great and is a great thing for our community. So end of report. Thank you.
Thank you. If you didn't see it, there was a very nice article in the Akron Beacon regarding the mural, and congratulations. I think the idea came from the Future Growth Committee. Our thanks to that committee that brought up that idea, and yes, it looks very nice. Thank you, sir. Director Chaddock for the Parks and Rec.
Thank you, Councilmember Tully. First, we'll start with Fall Fest. I just want to thank the community for coming out and enjoying the event. We had a great turnout throughout the course of the day. Thanks to Service for all of their help getting things set up and also taking care of trash and some other items during the course of the event, as well as helping with the breakdown afterwards. And a lot of appreciation to the rec staff. Sam Edgar, who is our new recreation coordinator of marketing and special events. That was literally her 1 month anniversary, the day of the event. So to be here for 1 month and be able to lead the whole staff through the event was pretty remarkable. Just shows we made a really good decision in bringing her into the team. I want to thank Brad, John, Cindy, and Kelly as well. They spent a lot of time and effort getting things prepared over the course of the last month. All of our fall programmings are up and running currently. A lot of great sports going on. Our park was packed last week between baseball, Fall Fest, soccer, football, so we have a ton of activity going on. Just the other day, we ordered 3 new seated ellipticals that will replace 3 aging ellipticals, seated ellipticals that we currently have. Those are the items we've been in here to council several times on that our seniors love. So we are getting all new in the course of 2021. So by the end of this year, all of the ellipticals will have been replaced. We are currently procuring a new activity pool boiler that will get us up to proper code in the pool area based on a recent inspection that took place. And upcoming, as Councilmember Brandt had mentioned, we have our Haunted Manor that will be taking place Saturday, October 16th from 2 to 5 p.m. And yes, it will be at Longwood Manor. So we will have a Haunted Manor. We hear rumors that it might be haunted anyway, so it'll be an interesting event. We will have the Longwood Manor Historical Society helping us out with doing some stuff within the manor, and then our Parks and Rec staff will be outside setting up a haunted walkthrough for the home days field and the track area. So we will have inside and outside activities going on, and that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Your parking lot is gorgeous. The parking lot.
Joe and I did a lot of hard work paving that.
And it was a real, if you didn't make it up to, what did you call it, Fall Fest?
Fall Fest.
Home Depot had a real nice surprise there. They're passing out these little kits that are, one was make a little soccer ball field, one was make a golf putting. And it was very nice. They just handed them out to all the kids that came in. Mm-hmm. And that was very nice. Had some really good sponsors. I'd like to thank all the sponsors. That was very nice. But thank you. And the weather was perfect. They couldn't have asked for nicer.
Good job on the weather, Jason.
Yeah.
And did you win cornhole?
I did not play.
Oh.
As the director, I can't get out there and play.
He would have won, though. Huh?
Yeah,
next time we'll have to have city versus council in cornhole.
Are you sure you
What
want
do
to
you
take
think?
that on?
Yeah.
Me and Jason are.
Not me.
We practice every Thursday at 5:30.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Moving right along to the man with the checkbook, Director John Barris.
Thank you, Madam President. In anticipation of our first meeting to discuss next year's budget, met again with the police, fire, and service directors to discuss manpower. We've already discussed the 5-year capital. It should go real smooth because there's pretty much no additional manpower requests for those 3 departments. And we also will be discussing overall debt on next Thursday. And looking forward to walking the parking lot with Jason to find a couple areas we can paint some pickleball courts for down the road. End of my report.
Thank you. Chief Ripley.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to thank you for passing the 2 important ordinances for my department tonight. Also would like to remind you that on October 6th at 6 p.m. at Station 1 here at the City Center, we're having a 100th anniversary celebration. In front of you, you should all have a 12-ounce tumbler with the graphic we came up for that.
I don't see it.
You guys are employees and not elected. So you'll be getting them later. So
Cheers.
they actually, I'm very proud to say, were donated by Spitzer Chevy.
Wow.
We incurred no expense. And then inside it is a 100-year challenge coin, which is all the craze now. On one side is our emblem, and on the other side is our 1931 Seagrave. So it's a very exciting time. We're looking forward to that night. There's going to be local food trucks that work out of Macedonia here. We're going to have activities for the kids. We have a lot of retirees that are supposed to make it, upwards to 20 of them. We're talking some people that served back in the 50s. And we have some nice, we'll call it memorabilia per se. We have a call book from 1935 and stuff like that. So if you're into history, it's a great night. I hope you guys can all make it. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank Councilor Ventura back and thank you for your kind words. We're always happy to do it, and I will tell you again, don't ever wait an hour again. Okay? Is that a deal?
Yeah, but you cut it short. I waited 90 minutes.
Oh, man.
That's the first I heard, 90 minutes, so we'll talk again later. All right? That's the end of report.
Plus, my nitro pills were probably a year old.
On your celebration, are we going to hear the siren that used to call the firefighters?
We could. We haven't tried it in a while.
I don't know if it still works.
We'll see.
You have to hand it.
Yeah. It's an old World War II area.
That tells you how old I am. I've heard them. Thank you. And again, thank you for all your hard work. Next up, Chief Golden of the Police Department.
Thank you. Quick look outside and you can see it's dark. So we all know
Good report.
seasons are changing.
No.
Coming with the facts.
Wow.
Thank you, Captain Obvious.
Dang.
Thank you.
You're spot on.
I'm going to write that down for my next committee report.
You know, we're going to get snow, we're going to get rain, we're going to get wind, we're going to get branches in the road. So just, pay attention. It's getting dark sooner. It's staying dark later. Just be careful. And I've been in contact with the bus garage and the schools. They keep losing bus routes from bus drivers going down with COVID. So you may see kids in places that you haven't seen them before. You may see more kids at a bus stop. So they may be scattered around the corner a little bit more. It's dark. So just slow down, be careful. You don't want to hit a kid. That's the last thing you need. So that's the end of my report. Thank you.
Before we move along, can you speak a little bit to the speeding, since we received an email, and I believe you were on that email, the complaints that we're receiving about not just within the developments, and I saw it again today on Route 82, these semis and cars, at this drag raceway from Twinsburg into Macedonia, they each were doing 50 minimum. Can you speak to anything that's going to
We have speeding as well as every city in Ohio and the nation. We do our best to get out and try to enforce those. If anybody has a complaint, a particular person or something, we send guys to watch that for 2 weeks. If you can narrow down the time frame, it always helps. I can't have a guy there 24/7, but if you can say, typically they come through between this time and that time, we can focus our attention and resources to the specific time. But everybody has speeders. We do the best we can. We're short 2 officers right now. We're trying to hire right now, but it's a very difficult time to find qualified candidates for those positions. So we're doing what we can, but don't hesitate to call and request extra patrol. We can get out there and do that.
Thank you, though. So the residents are aware, there are certain times of the day, if you know certain vehicles during the day. Chief and I have talked about the fact on my street, it's interesting, the people who take their kids to school then turn around and fly down the street going back. And they're probably got to get home or get to work or whatever. But just think if your child was still on that sidewalk. In 82, I don't believe it's residents. I believe it's a lot of out-of-towners when I look at the plates. We have speed limits for a reason. It's for our safety as well as your safety. And stop still means stop. Doesn't mean slide through opposing pedestrian. Thank you, though.
And I just want to touch on what Chief Golden said about driving. Now is a good time to get new windshield wipers or check your windshield wipers. If you go to AutoZone or any of the auto shops around here, they'll replace them for free. You purchase them, they'll put them on your car for free, make sure they fit, make sure they work. But it's really handy to have good wipers in the bad weather, and it helps you not to hit children, which is what everyone's goal should be.
Besides the wipers, there is this thing called windshield washer fluid. Doesn't help if you try to clean it off, but you don't have any fluid to do it. Now is the time, and not to belittle the fact, it's very important. Now it's time to get your car ready. Although it's not going to snow, it's not going to rain, and we're not going to have wind.
It's not going to snow till
but it will stay dark.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a traffic-oriented question, if I may. Quite some time ago, there's been some discussion. I've been out of the loop since I haven't driven probably in a month and a half and 6 weeks. Sitting in the back seat of my own car isn't very much fun. There's been an issue for Macedonia Commons Boulevard with trucks, no trucks, trucks delivering, trucks seeing the signs at the last minute. I was under the impression that the advisement was to remove the no truck signs, let trucks pass through there. The trucks, that roadway was built for truck traffic. And I noticed, I think yesterday or today, from the back seat, so it must have been yesterday, that those signs are still posted. Are we removing those signs, Chief? And have we come to a conclusion so we don't have people westbound, so we don't have semis on westbound 82 taking out straight through traffic because they see the sign at the last minute and veering over?
That would be a safety director decision that would go through Mr. Karras's department.
Well, if we don't take them down, can we get a hold of all the apps that tell you where to drive? Because we looked, it tells them to turn there to go to 271. Do I think they should be going through there? Oh, heck no. Not with the amount of traffic coming in from the restaurants and Walmart. It's more customers. But we need to get a hold of maybe those various apps. I looked at my computer guy because I don't know how they changed it, but they really shouldn't be on that road.
I'm not sure you can get an app to tell a semi-truck something other than a...
Yeah, there's GPSs that are for truckers.
Yeah, we've talked about that
private
years ago when Twinsburg Road used to connect to Route 8. The truck drivers would come off of Enterprise in Twinsburg, and then which leads to Bavaria, which they're still seeing somewhere apps or whatever, or just looking at the GPS, and they think they can go out Twinsburg Road and get to Route 8, and they can't. We've tried way back when to call these places and say, stop directing the traffic there, and you can't get anywhere. It's
Kyle?
just doesn't happen.
Yeah, you're not gonna get that being blocked unless you change the way the road is listed, because they're all pulling off of road data.
Right.
So unless the road is changed to being like a low weight road or something like that, you're not gonna be, they're all pulling off of road data. They're not picking and choosing where they send people. They're just going road data, traffic, send them this direction.
And if it's old mapping data, like the GPS in my truck, it doesn't update unless I pay for the update.
Exactly.
Waze updates today.
Right.
Right.
What do you have, TomTom?
Whatever Dodge puts in the dash that I don't want to upgrade.
All the dash integrated ones don't do live map downloads normally, unless you have like an Apple CarPlay or an Android Auto system that's pulling live data and all of that. But yeah, you see a lot of people going down roads that don't exist anymore, especially in areas with new developments and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would not recommend taking the signs down because that's.
Well, there's confusion because if I'm not mistaken, the signs say no through trucks.
Right.
Period. It doesn't say, it doesn't say no through trucks. It says no trucks.
It says no trucks.
Period.
Right.
Okay, so I believe there's also confusion with the drivers that are very conscientious and don't know how to get into there to make their deliveries or their pickups either.
Yes.
So we have to decide, I think, one way or the other, being in law enforcement, as I was, that there's got to be some kind of decision made on how we're going to handle that.
Yeah, Ray and I have the sign shop foreman talked about this quite a while ago, and it might be an issue that needs to be looked at a little closer.
Yeah, could you take care of or work with them? Because I could see no through trucks. The traffic there is just horrendous, and allowing trucks to go through there to get down to 271, that was never the intent.
No.
The intent was 8 and down.
Right, but trucks have to be able to get into the businesses to make deliveries, and right now, it says no trucks.
Yeah.
So do they airlift the trucks in? I mean, how do they get in? It's
not a bad idea. Well, they're going to all be droning pretty soon anyhow.
Well, you're not going to drone in.
A pallet of Gatorade.
Right, a pallet of stone or a pallet of peat moss or whatever.
But I think if we could look at getting the change to no through trucks. There was a truck, and when I was going towards Hudson, or coming back from Hudson, who got to our sign that said no through trucks. He'd already halfway through the intersection and then decided he better back up and turn around. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Yes.
Just missed a bunch of houses. However, it's residential. So I don't know if
We've tried to get with Hudson to have them post signage in their jurisdiction because or Valley View, when they get to our line and then they see a sign that says no trucks, what are they supposed to do? There's no place for them to turn around. They're already committed. So that's a problem. And we always have an issue down on Twinsburg Road with them making a right-hand turn to go east on Twinsburg Road, and they go into the ditch, or they'll,
I think it's something we need to look at through, because of the growth in this community, it's probably something we need to look at citywide. How many trucks have gone across Route 8 thinking they're going to go under the bridge and not realizing, past the get-go, and that's closed because they're doing repair work to the sewer and the water? Wonder how many go down there and go, oops, because there's nowhere to go. It's a dead end.
Well, the only advantage there is they have the turnaround area there over by the restaurant.
Well, unless you go too far.
Right.
So
Mr. Ventura, you had also discussed the problem with that the no truck sign is on Macedonia Commons Boulevard itself, right?
Right. We had that problem in several areas, even in Oakwood, as Chief Golden said. A lot of times somebody's coming off a street in another town and another venue, and they go ahead and make that turn, and then that sign is right there smack in front of them when they're halfway through the intersection turning into your venue. and there's no place to go, there's nothing you can do.
So you've discussed with the chief or with the mayor moving it, if we're keeping the sign, moving it to 82?
I've had several conversations with the mayor. I believe I talked to the chief and Lieutenant Yakupovich. And Mr. G and I had a conversation about that also. And he was the one that informed me that that boulevard was built to take on the traffic. But again, as Mrs. Tully stated, that it was never meant as a cutover to 271 southbound.
Right. It was allowing the trucks to deliver, and then once delivered, they could keep going, because to turn around and come back by Wendy's, oh yeah, that's not good.
I just want to make sure that if we're keeping the sign, that it does get, if it's possible, to place it on 82 so they can see it before they turn, or get it on the cross where it says.
On the green sign.
My suggestion has always been it's on the mast.
Because what they're doing now is they're coming and they start to turn.
They start to turn and you can't get out of it.
So they move over and cut off the person that's trying to go straight.
My suggestion has always been it's on the mast.
That entire
typically haven't done
area, Route 8, the Commons, it's scary sometimes. So thank you. Thank you. Okay, I don't want to forget, Director Smith's been very patient at the end there. You're not the last person, though.
Currently working with Chief Ripley on updating our evacuation policy and our maps. We actually have 19 that we're redoing and getting brought up to date, and those are being worked on now. We will be holding our first task force meeting on October 4th at 1 p.m. with members of all unions and President Tolley to discuss how our benefit year has been going and what we will be looking at possibly for next year. Also working with the wellness provider, we will be scheduling our biometric testings for sometime in November for all employees, and currently working with Rite Aid, and we will be having our flu shots either end of October, beginning of November. So kind of busy, but that's what's up. Thank you, end of report.
Thank you. Moving along to Director Collins, who's behind the door. Do you have any report, Director Collins?
I just want to say welcome back to Councilperson Ventura, and
thank you.
Everybody drive safe, and echo what Madam President said. Make sure you guys all have your cars in good working order, because it's supposed to be a long winter. Thank you. End of report.
Thank you. Director Gaddetti?
No report this evening, Council President. Thank you.
Wow.
I know.
Okay.
Right.
Is there any unfinished business? Any new business?
I just want to say welcome back to school for all the kids and the teachers and the parents and everyone who's having to deal with that adjustment. And you're all saints. You're getting it done. The kids are getting educated, and we hope we have a good rest of the school year. That's all.
And happy fall. Today is the first full day of autumn. So, and we don't change the clocks till November, so we're okay. It is dark though.
Well, don't forget to register to vote. If you're not registered, there's a general election November 2nd. The last day to register to vote is October 3rd, and you can start, early voting starts October 4th.
Thank you. Any other new business? If not, do I hear a movement of adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The meeting is adjourned. Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The meeting's adjourned.
I think you're supposed to have the beginning.